tired as yet of listening to Happy New Year greetings. There is more coming in January. January of every year gives us all the liberation to keep wishing Happy New Year at any point in time. So wish you all a Happy New Year. Greetings from ECDF family. And here we are in the 5th season of New Year, New Goals. And just before we went live, we were talking, and I mentioned to Dr. Wasavi that it was just yesterday we planned our first session, and Corona was around the corner, and even making this kind of a session was such a exciting thing for all of us. And here we are, 5 years, and 2024 years kind of ended happen, but it just went by in a blink. So we have a stellar line of speakers who will talk about us, their experience of 2024. This is Simi, proudly working with ECDF for last half a decade, and happy to be consistent with at least some of the programs that we very proudly do at ECDF. Before we get started and understand what was 2024 about, it was January, we were planning a year. The next thing we know, a quiet weekend brings in December, and we are already planning our holidays and year end. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what will happiness and peacefulness mean to us in 2025. But before I go to our speakers, I invite our visionary, Dr. Wasavi, to say a few words. Dr. Wasavi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Simran. And first of all, wishing everyone a very happy new year. Wherever you are, stay blessed, stay happy. And I thank our stellar lineup of speakers that have joined us today for the New Year, New Goal Season 5. This is the 5th year. And this is regularly hosted by Simran, who is an ECDF core member. And we have been working very closely all these years. And we look forward to more work from the ECDF forum. From this platform, we have in last year had a couple of conferences. We had our online and offline events, and we also came up with our journal. So it was as we lined up, everything happened, and I thank God for that. And this year too, we have many plans, and there are a lot of people who are willing to collaborate with us in this coming year, in 2025, and the years so forth, which will follow. And so without much ado, let me again wish you all a very happy new year, and thank the panel of speakers for joining us today. And a big thanks to Simi, who is going to, I know, moderate this show so well. So over to you, Simi, and I'll be so happy to hear all of you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wasavi. So our speakers had time to grab their warm cup of coffees, and they are all charged up to talk to you about themselves, 2024, and stellar work that they are doing. First on the panel that I can see is Ms. Gina. Gina, the floor is yours to introduce yourself and talk about 2024.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Happy New Year to everyone. And I've gone. Where have I gone? My video seems to have gone. That's very strange. Can you hear me?
We can hear you well.
My video seems to have crashed. I don't know why, but it says I know what it is. Technology. Well, I am here, and I don't know why it's suddenly gone to my phone. I'm trying to fix that. Maybe you want to go to Helen quickly while I sort this out.
Sure, I think, Helen, can you please take over? Could you kindly introduce yourselves? Okay, Gina, you're back.
Right. Happy New Year. And I think what I need to do is sort out technology for myself in the future. But my name's Gina. I'm, the best way to put it very quickly, I'm the crazy creator of Little Magic Train. My background was movement, and that led me into teaching, something I never wanted to do. But I ended up going to Angelina Ballerina, doing High Five and all of this. And now I'm working in early years and nurseries. So that is who I am. So I assume we're going around saying who we are, and then we come back. Is that right? Or do you want me to answer 2024?
Yeah, you can talk about 2024.
Oh, 2024. For me personally, I have been living with builders. I've had no roof. So it's been very stressful. It's like, with all the storms that we've had in the UK, with all the scaffolding, no sleep. And I can see Claire going, because I think you're based in Oxford as well, aren't you? Yeah, so, well, 2024 went like that, with all the stresses and everything of building work, my little magic train staying on track. And I'm so pleased it's over. And I'm really looking forward to 2025. It's been a whirlwind. So all I can say is I want a new roof for 2025. And no builders. No builders.
So even with all the builders that you had, it still felt like it went in a blink, or it was like too long for 2024, given the kind of events you were battling.
Yeah, it went so fast. But it's because I'm getting old. So every year that you get older, the years get faster. And my mother always said that to me, and I never believed her, but it's true. Before we know it's going to be Christmas 2025.
Yeah, but I think everybody wants a pause and want to live a little bit of 2025 and not age further. But yeah, I hear you, Gina. But tell us a little bit more about you having these builders and then also kind of balancing your work and the family. How was that for you in 2024?
Well, first of all, I've been moving my office around the house because I'm so lucky that I work from home with 3 dogs and 2 cats. And I have locked them away because normally I would have a teeny little dog on my shoulder. He's like a rat. So it's just been very tricky moving around and having them banging and knocking things. And best of all, we've had lots of building materials stolen from our property. So I've now got CCTV. I want flamethrowers. I want Dobermans. I want everything. So I know Claire's face. So it's been a great 2024, and all of that made it go so fast. And I think I have wished it away, actually, because it's been, if the builders are listening, I love you. Please come back next week. I really do. I need you to finish. But that's my year. It's been great. It's lovely.
Yes, please go ahead.
No. And did you want me to say what I'm wishing for 2025?
No, I would want you to pause for that because I'll come back to you for that one. But with this of 2024, this is a good kind of dimension to it, that even though you had builders and yet it went in a blink because that's what you wished for. And here you are, and we are, of course, the builders are listening and they're sure going to be back next week. I'll make sure you give them a lot of coffee.
and lots of cakes. I make them cakes. They have sausage rolls for breakfast, vegan.
Amazing. Why would they leave you? If you give them so much, they might delay your work. I wouldn't want to leave you.
No, I'm telling them, no. It's like, yeah, they better be back next week. So
good to know. Great. Thank you, Gina. And I move over to Helen. Helen, please introduce yourself and talk about 2024. The floor is yours.
Hello, Happy New Year. My name is Helen Battelley. I'm an early childhood visiting lecturer at 5 universities. I'm an academic researcher with the Centre for Research in Early Childhood. I deliver initial teacher training and I work with educators all over the world, raising the profile of early childhood physical activity and movement play. I'm incredibly passionate about what I do. I love working with educators all over the world. In 2024, I had my first 3-week residency in Southeast Asia, where I started in Jakarta, went on to Singapore, then Malaysia, and finished in Thailand. It was a fabulous opportunity. 2024 also saw the release of a new scheme of work which I've written specifically for children aged 3 to 5. And what we see across the board, actually, not just in the UK, but globally, is that a lot of children are not reaching the recommended levels of physical activity according to the World Health Organization. So this scheme is looking at how to deliver movement-based activities in a developmentally appropriate way. And it's received lots of awards and lots of accolades. And that was released in May 2024. So that was a very exciting year. It took a year to write it. And it was co-written by myself and a colleague, and a lot of the content is through the research work that I do at CREC. 2024 personally was quite an interesting year for me because I have 3 sons and all 3 sons moved out. And for the first time in my life, I ended up living on my own. Um, and people talk about the empty nest syndrome when your children leave. And I was really anxious about that time happening. And for the first week, I was lots of tears and missing my children, messaging them, following them, tracking them, finding out what they were doing, generally annoying them in any way that I could. And then week 2, I had a great time. It was wonderful. I realised that after this many years on the planet of always living with people, whether it was my sister, my parents, my university house share mates, wherever I lived with my husband, and now I had this time all by myself, and it's wonderful. And actually what it's made me realise that as women, we are incredibly resilient. We are resilient, we are powerful, we are empowered by these situations. And I feel that in 2024, this is now my time. I've earned this time, and this is my time to grow, to shine, and to do the things that make me happy as well. And so there's a little voice sometimes in my head that says, oh, you know, you're being selfish. But after 51 years of doing lots of things for other people, actually, it's my time now. So, yeah. And that's me, everybody.
That's wonderful, Helen. And I'm sure you saw all of us nodding through yes. And it's not selfish a bit, because it is very true. I don't know whether it is just, it's not, now I have concluded it is not about the Asian culture. It is we as women who have this overbearing nurturing that we want to always give away, make everybody comfortable, da-da-da. And then when you get this time and you're wise enough, you come out of the empty nest or anything else, you come out so quickly and say, this feels like a lottery and I'm not going to be apologetic for it. I'll enjoy it unapologetically and I'm going to go for it. So more power to you, Helen. And we all women are here nodding, and I'm sure the audience listening to you is. So that seems like a 2024, a good base for what you want to bring into 2025. And it is very interesting to know about your residency program. So you went into 3 different geographies, and how was that for you?
4 different countries.
Okay, 4
Yes.
different countries, yeah.
4 different countries. It was incredible. So I worked mainly with, in Indonesia, it was an education organisation, but the other countries, it was working with international schools and working either with the teachers, with the children, or with the families, and often with all 3 of those spectrums. So yes, it was a wonderful opportunity.
Yes,
and a privilege to be invited out there for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is such a wonderful experience even traveling through that. I think that is one of the things that we can definitely touch upon when we talk about 2025. Maybe one of the factors I feel sometimes is traveling. I saw recently a very nice Instagram post that said that the only belt that suits me is the airline belt. And I felt so pretty interesting. Who wants LV belt or a Gucci belt when you can get airline belt every now and then, travel and buckle up and see places and meet people. So
and just picking up on that, just picking up on that, again, thinking back to women being empowered, there was a time, 15, 20 years ago that I wouldn't have imagined that on my own I would travel across most of Southeast Asia for 3 weeks independently, not speaking the language, riding on the back of motorbikes through Bangkok. Yes, and it was a wonderful experience. So I think we have to remember as women that we are capable. If we put our minds to these things, we can do anything.
Sure, and amazing. It's so nice. It's like a growth of yourself. You're watching yourself grow. Like in 15 years back, you never thought you could do this, and today you're doing it, and you're feeling so proud and accomplished by it. More power to you, Helen, and we'll come back to you to talk about 2025. And I move to Claire. Claire, please introduce yourself. And I'm seeing a lot of nice LinkedIn posts from you, but of course, to talk about your work yourself. And then, of course, 2024. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and Happy New Year, everybody, and thank you for having me on this fab webinar. And I must apologise that I'm the only one that doesn't have a background, but it leads nicely into my 2025 goals, which I'll talk about later. But 2024 for me has been, do you know, at some points it's been the longest time and the shortest squishy squashy time all at once. And I'm a bit behind where Helen is, in that I have children who are at university and flying the nest, but not really. One has gone off to Japan this year to do studying for a whole year, and managing that has been a challenge, an emotional challenge for some, and a lot of telephone calls at funny hours of the night and day. And then I had one doing GCSEs, so it's 16-year-old tests, and I had another one at university. And so I've been navigating them all over the place and the requirements of all of that stuff. And I also have been navigating elderly parents, and I've been navigating work and having my own business. So I didn't say who I was. I'm Clare Stead. I am a teacher, education researcher, mum of 3 bigger kids, daughter of parents, and I am also the founder and creator of something called the Aliki app, which is an app designed to support parents and practitioners to basically use play to support baby development and do a lot of what Helen is saying we really need to be doing, which is getting them moving and getting physical and helping these babies and last year was an incredibly exciting time for me, because babies seemed to suddenly hit the agenda in the UK in a way that they haven't for ever and a day. And therefore, suddenly people decided that they wanted to hear me speak. So I was doing speaking here, there, everywhere, and in between as well, which was incredibly exciting, because then that means we can spread the message that it's not about pushing academics from the earliest of days. It's about using tiny playful moments to really build babies' brains and support parents to feel really successful in what they're doing, and practitioners to really understand the power and impact they have to build and develop babies and support their learning and development from the earliest of days through tiny playful moments. And I spent a lot of time also last year writing courses for other e-learning providers, which was such a privilege to be able to really sort of consolidate my thinking and theory, put all the theories in practice and the reading and the gazillions, you can't see the gazillions of books that are sitting on my side just here. Some of them half read, because that's another challenge that's been in the 2024, the whole sort of, I'm starting a book and I've got all the things in there, but not towards the end. I need to finish the books I start before I'll possibly buy another one. My husband's now at the point of saying, oh, another book's arrived. So I do need to finish the books, but putting all of that learning and putting it through the lens of what I'm believing and thinking and sharing that with the world has been an incredibly exciting privilege. And the outcome of that is that more babies will get better foundations, all done through play, and that's incredibly exciting. So 2024, wobbly in the middle, challenging, but fabulously exciting.
Wow, that is like putting a lot of things together and accomplishing most of it. And the best part is touching the more core of the human is the baby development, which you have accomplished while doing all of this juggling. And yes, I'm sure one of your goals would be to complete the books, or at least you've neatly marked them, so you at least know where to start and where you have finished. And if there are book lovers out there, they will resonate. There has to be another book coming every now and then. And what if the family is not telling us another book? That means they know us well enough now. So yeah, that's really good to know, Claire. And I know it is takes a lot to take care of elderly parents, manage the house, manage the kids, and even though you're not managing them physically, but even when you're tracking them. But here you are doing a fabulous work and feeling good about it. I think that's the most important thing. So with this, I move to Archana. Archana was talking a lot about women and multitasking, and while we were just grabbing a cup of coffee. So Archana, over to you. The floor is yours. Please introduce yourself and talk about 2024.
Thank you, Miss Simi. Very good evening, beautiful ladies, and a very happy new year. I would like to wish New Year in one of my favorite languages. I am a strong advocate of it, which is Sanskrit. Nava Varsha Shubhashaya Sarvan, right? So I'm very passionate about both English and Sanskrit. I always say English is my bread and butter, but Sanskrit is the jam, right? Okay, so I know both are very opposite languages. One is the most modern of languages, another is the most ancient of languages, but I love both of them with equal passion. And I hold a master's in both of them. I started off my career as a Sanskrit lecturer. Again, accidentally, I stepped into this field of education. I never wanted to be a teacher. But once I got into this field, once we are on this side of the table, there is no looking back. Try as hard as you may. I tried very hard into getting into corporate jobs and desk jobs, but hardly 1 month into any of those, I realized, no, I cannot sit on a desk staring at a computer. I need to interact with people. So that's how my journey began. And more than 2 decades later, I'm a proud educator. I feel there is no profession in the world which gives job satisfaction as much as teaching does. And the difference that you make in the lives of children is humongous. We may not realize at this point, but when you have your ex-students coming up to you and they're recognizing you, I don't recognize my students because maybe 20 years ago, he was a kindergartner when I first met him. And now he's all grown up in high positions. And then he comes and he says, Archana ma'am. And it's like, wow, ma'am, you were my teacher in kindergarten. And that joy is priceless, you know. So that gives so much of satisfaction. So I guess that's one reason why we teachers, educators stick to this profession, however hard the going gets. Because now we know there are many, many challenges. Unlike in the days of the year, teaching has changed drastically. And irrespective of that, I guess I strongly believe, go with the saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So I think we are all those tough women out there, yes, who have been leading in the education industry. And yes, in the past year, 2024, I have been conducting workshops, teacher workshops, parent, and also principal orientations, all stakeholders put in together. I love interacting with each and every group of individuals here. And from the minute I came across neuroscience, I try to integrate neuroscience and teaching, neuroscience and learning, understanding how your brain works, how a child's brain works, actually helps change the teaching game completely in the classroom. And I try to drive this point ahead in all of my trainings where teachers are amazed as to, wow, I never knew about this. A fact as simple as the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain of a child starts developing from the age of 7 years. It is like, wow. So I tell my teachers, please do not be upset with your very young children till 7 years. The connections are, not even formed. They're just starting to form there. So you cannot be upset as to, why don't you understand what I'm saying? They do not understand, the connections are yet to form, right? So I feel that now when I relate this back to my knowledge of Sanskrit, when I was doing my master's, I've studied a couple of old texts wherein in our Indian system, the Gurukul tradition was what we used to follow for education. And in the Gurukul tradition, only when a child comes to the age of 7 years, he or she is, we perform a ceremony called the Upanayanam ceremony, or the thread ceremony, we call it. After the ceremony, the child is sent with the teacher to the Gurukul to start his learning. So how beautifully, it was all programmed. That is, our ancestors knew it long ago that, see, till 7 years, let all the gross motor, fine motor skills develop. And then you can go on with the academic literacy. So that's the reason I try to blend in all of my knowledge, right from the knowledge of the ancient texts in Sanskrit to the most modern neuroscience. And then I see a difference. I see the light of, the light of recognition, or the light of, wow, that is why my child reacts this way. And this is how I need to tackle this. So I feel that very satisfying as to, I'm able to make a little difference, whatever little difference, in the lives of my co-educators and children who are being led by them. On the personal front, a proud moment of achievement, my daughters, Manaswini and Mayuka, have always been the anchors in my life. And my younger daughter just finished her graduation, and she opted to be an early childhood educator. That made me so proud. Unlike youngsters who are all aiming for corporate high-paying jobs, she opted for this because she is of the same view that, Mama, I think I would like to help the children learn how to learn. Like my mentor, Dilip Mukherjee sir, always says, everybody asks us to learn, learn, and learn, but nobody teaches us how to learn. Right? So yes, I think this was a very proud moment. And at the very fag end of 2024, I got associated and understanding structure of intelligence by Dr. J.P. Guilford, and understanding the cognitive aspects of how children learn, and what is it that we can do in order to help children struggling in certain areas. This has made a huge difference. And I'm going to take this forward in my learnings in 2025, because I believe I'm a lifelong learner. In addition to helping educators, I am also learning a lot from them. So I believe it is all sharing and it is not teaching. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Archana. And that's a great insight on you, as well as you talking about 2024. And more power to your daughters, your anchors. It is always a great feeling when we see our children successful and choosing the path that they also feel that they can make a difference in the society. So I'm sure all your action has rubbed off effects. As they say, it is not about what we tell our children, it's about our action. So looking forward to know more about your work as we go forward in the next few webinars. It's very interesting to find somebody with a passion of Sanskrit, our main language in India, but so nice to connect and so nice to know about your 2024. It seemed like wholesome. And with this, we have very patiently waiting Sukaina. You have heard all of us out, but the floor is yours. Kindly introduce yourself and talk about 2024.
All right. Good evening and Assalamu alaikum. I'm Sukaina Hussain Ebrahim from Pakistan, Karachi. And I joined ECDF in 2021 in a webinar when it was like, I think it was 50 plus speakers from different part of the world. So yes, it has been like nearly 4 years. I'm on and off coming every year, I think twice a year. It's there a little workshop maybe or a part of webinar. While I was listening to all of you, I was connecting with each and every point. Like Helen, you talked about empty nest. So my nest is half empty. My daughter is nearly, she's becoming a clinical psychologist and she's been married since 3 years. So I have 2 children. My son is 20 and he is doing his university BBA. Basically, I'm working as a director at Learning Lab. My main cause or main mission is that I work with neurodivergent children, right? The reason I'm here because we have very little awareness about neurodiversity. And nowadays, what I see that each and every child or school is tagging student with either ADHD or ASD. Maybe during the pandemic, this thing was there, like virtual autism or ADHD, which was environmental. So while listening to even Archana, I realized that even Islam says that treat your child like a prince till he's 7 years of age. So it means a prince should be kept like a prince or princess, right? The same thing, even the fingers bones are not developed. And while we are forcing them, improve your handwriting. I mean, really? Now the time is of typing and you're asking the child to improve their handwriting. So basically, I'm working as a trainer. I work as a SAP practitioner, that's Student Assistant Program. It's by Cheryl Watson, which I did in 2019. I'm working as a Lego therapist as well, and AB and remedial therapist. So though I train, but at the same time, I make sure to take one child for behavior improvement and the other child for remedial. Because if we are training and not practicing, I'm sorry, without being in the classroom or with a child, you can't train the teacher. So you really have to be in the field to call yourself that I'm a trainer. The world is changing on daily basis. So yes, 2024 was like bit struggling in terms of running after inclusion, dealing with the parents who are with differently abled, listening to their cries. Like they would say, I feel like killing my own child because that's heavy on me. There is nothing out there for me. We take them into the restaurant. The people look at them like there's an alien. The inclusion, the awareness, the AAA, that's acceptance, awareness, and then include them, it's missing. It's missing, at least in my country. Then I would come to Helen. She said she went for, like, I think she visited 4 different countries. That's my dream for 2025. And I'm really manifesting that. I wish I could go for any cross-cultural program where I could learn from different educators, different people. I really want to go deep into inclusivity, not only in education, but at the workplace as well. The first I feel that mindset needs to be included. That inclusivity starts from here. If it's not inclusivity is not there, then nothing is there. The malls, the restaurants, this school, I feel we are far more lacking behind in that. The passion is missing. So yes, though I'm the reason I'm here is like to hear from you all, and believe me or not, I was connecting with each and every one of you. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for listening to me. And I would be literally all ears while you all will be speaking now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sukaina. Very less time we find listeners with so much of enthusiasm in the world that we are in. So thank you so much for being a listener. You brought smile to each one of our faces. And as we come to the second part of our segment, is that we will talk about what 2025, or rather this future holds for us. What would bring us happiness? What are these few goals that we are holding tight to our heart and saying, this is what I want to happen and manifest into the coming years, coming months. And maybe it will be just a blink of an eye again. And we are in January 2026 and talking about the goals that we spoke on this platform. So again, I go to Gina. And Gina, the floor is yours. You can talk about 2025 now.
Fabulous. Thank you. And it was lovely to hear everyone's experience of 2024. And I do apologize. My cat has come in. I don't know if you can hear her howling. She wants to join in your webinar. But for me, happiness in 2025 will be seeing children thrive in a world and in their settings with their families where Millie, my cat, where their imagination and individuality are celebrated, not put to one side, not ignored, because neurodivergent children who have additional learning needs, children who are gifted and talented are also left behind because they also forget about the gifted children. I also really want 2025 to be the year when settings put children, not pedagogies, first. This is something I see so much where they go, no, we're this type of pedagogy, this type of ethos. We won't look at things because they're not ensuring all children are included. Every child is different. Not all children will fit into that one pedagogy. So that to me is so important, because they need to think about those fundamental movement skills to help children with their myelin development. They need their myelin development for language. And for me, what I've created with the Magic Train is all about that FMS. You need that for physical literacy. I've got over 30 years behind me, and this is my 60th year. Yay! So I'm the new 20. That's new 20. But to me, it's all about helping, and I really want to see settings and educators to understand that every child is different. They need to look at different things to engage children, to have those playful moments, and understand and really look at the research between child-led and guided play. There's so much child-free play that they're not actually, this is going to be controversial to say that they're school ready, because a lot of children need guidance. Children who have serious SEND, it's not an issue, they're different, they need to move, to regulate that way. You'll see, I'm a twitcher. I regulate through movement. That's why I was a dancer. That really helps with me. But I really want to see that link for them to understand how every child is different. I know we all say the unique child, but actually I'm seeing it getting left behind with a different ethos, because it's what's easiest for the parent, what's easiest for the setting, what's easiest for the nurseries. Very controversial. I'm sure I'll get told off for this, but it's something I see because we are in hundreds and hundreds of nurseries. And also to understand how you develop those fundamental movement skills. There is a disconnect there. There's all that research in Wales that even PE teachers don't understand how to develop and teach young children the FMS. They don't have the ability to see where that missing link is, where that child's development is. So it's all of that. Also, to know that technology isn't always a bad thing in early years, because actually you want them, it's not about having a computer screen, it's not about a phone, it's about learning how to use walkie-talkies, all these different things these children can do and make things fun and learning, because you may have an engineer in there. I'm sorry about a cat meowing again. Or, just to give you an example, I had a setting saying, because we want to take the children to space. No, that's not authentic learning. None of the children go to space. And I was going, do they see the moon at night? Oh, I can see Claire's face there. Do they see the moon at night? Space is relevant for the weather, for everything, for the way. I mean, it's just that imagination. For me, 2025 is when early years educators see the world through a child's eyes and actually understand that's where the magic happens, that creativity, that imagination, and moving, active play, active learning, but also guiding them when they need it, because some children need more guidance. Yeah, I was that child that was always in the headmistress's office for moving and running around the room, and also to get lots of more wow moments. Just to give you an example, I had a message, I put this on socials actually. One of the childminders I was working with said that one of the children said, can we have some snow to make a snowman, because they'd been talking about Elsa, and she said, no, I don't have that. And Marion said, I don't have any snow. And the child said, can the little magic train bring it? And I was like, oh, to me, that was the ultimate wow moment, because it's real. Imagination is real. It's in, as I say, in their mind's eye. If I see a dinosaur, say there's a dinosaur up on the rafters, they see the dinosaur. Adults forget, I'm still a child. That's the problem. I'm still a child. I think to me, my happiness of 2025, Millie, is my cat not meowing, is I want you to meow, but not now. But it's for them to be creative, to be imaginative, to understand creativity is a skill that you can learn. It doesn't come naturally to everyone. And you need imagination, creativity to think outside the box to help those children with their movement skills, with their language, with their science, technology, STEM, everything. For me, I want 2025 to be the year of imagination. It's my 60th year. I'm a snake. It's the year of the snake. It's going to be incredible. Go 2025. Yes, and I want a holiday in Italy this year. When the roof is finished and the builders have done, I am going back to Amalfi. We normally go there every year, but we haven't been for 2 years because they're building. So builders, come back, finish the work. Thank you. Go 2025.
Awesome.
Slowly.
And I was already picturing you in Amalfi and living your dream and accomplishing all that you want to in early years. And one thing I have learned is that if anything, if you want to make a difference, especially in early years, you better be a bit of a rebel. You better be a bit of a controversial, because you cannot bring in any change if you're very traditional and say yes to the approaches or the pedagogies or the mindsets that have already been there. So more power to you being controversial and bringing out those challenging things and making people question their own way of running kindergartens and confusing it with some tech colleges and letting the children be and giving the space for the imagination. Often I have seen in my time with the teachers, they don't give space for the child to answer. They don't give the space for the child to process, because they take time to bring out those answers from their tiny mouth. And especially when I go into the classrooms, I see these, it's more of the child sitting like this uh, and listening, but the child is more having so much energy. They want to move around, they want to explore. And that doesn't mean that they are not learning, they're not listening, but it is just that the focus has to change and it has to become truly child-centric. And that can happen only with early years being a bit of a controversial, bit on into the face and saying, no, this is not how it is. So
yeah, I do get told off by the going, no, we're this, we're that approach on this. And I'm going, but what about the child? What does the child want? I did go into a setting. They said, no, we don't do this. And I said, I've been paid by the council to come in. So I said, I'll just sit in the corner. Within 3 minutes, every single child was there with me, and they didn't want me to. That manager was so angry. He was so cross. I went, children need some structure.
Yeah.
I even talked to my husband, the psychiatrist, about it. Oh, I could see Claire going, yes. So, but I will stop now.
Anyways, thank you, Gina, and wishing you very, very well for 2025, and more power to you and more power to your 60s, and have a fun time. I'm getting into my 50s and I can't wait for how this year is going to turn around. So yeah, on that note, Helen, let's go to you. Let's talk about your 2025 happiness, peacefulness. What does it mean to you?
Well, I think, Simi, if you're going into your 50s and you look like that, my 2025, I need your top beauty tips, please, for 2025. If you could just write those down in the chat, I'll take those with me.
I will connect with you, Helen.
Fabulous, thank you. 2025, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. The first one is what I see in my national and international work is that I see a real conflict of interest where we see teachers educators that know what's right for their children, but senior leadership team and managers giving them different views. And actually, when I speak to the educators and I ask them to reflect on their values and their principles and their education, everybody that works in education is an academic. They've had to get there through their academic means. And so I asked them to go back and revisit those principles and values and to be true to those, because we have to continue to advocate for these young children. We have to be their voice where those children don't have that voice. And we have to make sure that we advocate for more movement. Even if the senior leadership team are saying, we want these 5-year-olds to be able to write an A4 sheet of writing, then we need to say, actually, we know that these children aren't ready. And we're going to make sure that they're outside playing in the mud, and we're going to have clipboards here and clipboards there for child-initiated writing. We're going to introduce some small amounts of structure only for those children who are ready. So I think we need to be thinking about that. I also think we need to be bringing in those stakeholders. I'm very grateful because a position has arisen where I'm chair of a group called the National Early Years Active Start Partnership, which is a group of academic partners, sports, arts and academia, and we all come together, we all work in the early years, and we all work to advocate with government, with policy, with Ofsted, with affiliated bodies, and we all focus on coming together collectively as those multi-stakeholders to support young children. So I think we also need to think about that, bringing in other organisations, because often as the education sector, we may not be connecting with the community sector or with the sports sector or with the academic world. So let's try and have more collaboration for those children. And from a personal perspective, I often present at sessions and conferences telling everybody, you know, how important it is to get moving and to get the children moving, because we're currently living in a childhood epidemic inactivity crisis. We're seeing that young children aren't meeting the recommendations that the World Health Organization suggest. So I think we need to be conscious about that and think about ways that we can advocate for that. But I do know that some people, movement is a challenge for various reasons. It might be personal reasons, it might be professional reasons, but we need to reflect on that because we know children are going to model to us. So we need to find those ways to promote movement, to promote activity in a way that's going to work for us as an individual. And so on that note, I decided to take up something that I was told all through my childhood that I wasn't very good at, and my adulthood actually, was painting. And I'd painted a few times before at school and as adults on various courses, and my painting was absolutely appalling. It was so appalling it couldn't even be abstract. It was completely bizarre. And I went on a course recently. It was just a 1-hour painting course, and it was painting with coffee. And I painted a little rabbit, and I'm going to show you my little rabbit because I'm really pleased with him. I don't know if you can see him. Can you see him? My little rabbit.
Yeah,
there he
it's a cute one. Amazing.
And I painted it with coffee. So the outcome there is just that actually if we put our mind to it and we find ways to overcome these barriers, then actually we can find the best versions of ourselves, find those values and principles and advocate for those young children.
That's awesome, Helen, and so nice of you to keep that ready to show it to us. And again, one more reminder to all of us who keep thinking whether I'll be able to do it or not. Here's the proof in happening. And yes, I hear that part of you where you say, you know, sometimes the teachers do know what they need to do for that age group. But unfortunately, it's the senior leadership that we need to kind of go loggerheads with, especially you're working as a consultant. You're like that third body who can who actually literally gets a 360-degree perspective, who has been paid to make a difference, who can see where they can make a difference, and you still held back because of this whole internal demographic that is going. One of the things I recently read on LinkedIn is that, isn't it funny that the main education policies or rules are drawn by people who are not themselves from the education background? And yes, that's the reality that we face, and we face more when you're going there as a consultant. So I hear you, and especially if it is in early years, I can relate to that frustration and helplessness. For me, I experience helplessness when I see these classrooms, and I know as a consultant, I can do only so much. But yes, we are trying our best in our different ways, and more power to all our early years. It looks like more of an early years kind of a group that we have. So yeah, and personally also, Helen, wishing you all the best. Enjoy your freedom, enjoy your free time, and get more and more done, and more vacations and more time offs to all of us. With this, I go to Claire. Claire, please talk about your 2025.
Well, it's an opportunity waiting to happen, and that's always the most exciting thing, isn't it? That's where there's the beginning of the year is like this, oh, what magical thing's going to unfold. And I hope this year, for me, it's about spreading the word that the parents are amazing, amazing partners in our education of our babies. But we need to get our parents to really understand the they play, the power they have, the impact they have, and for them to understand why what they're doing is so crucial and how to do it to help their child succeed. I had a conversation with on TikTok, and she was saying, yeah, my child didn't like tummy time. I've just done a block time in school readiness. And she said, but but because they didn't like tummy time, that led to me investigating why that was the case. The child ended up having physio and has solved the problem that would have, if they hadn't have done that investigation into why things weren't working out, the child optimally been struggling to develop and therefore would have sort of done the whole sort of loop round workarounds to try and make it work, and life would have been really tricky. That's kind of showing the power that play has on supporting development and helping parents understand the impact that they have, but also help practitioners fully understand the power of those tiny bits of play on a daily basis. Not about having it insta perfect or Pinterest brilliant. It's about, what does this child need today to develop to their full potential, and how can I make that playful, and how can I at their and make it something that's really going to build the skills that this child needs right now. So for me, it's all about getting a leaky out there, spreading the word, getting to really understand that play is the powerful way forward, and getting people to understand why. And personally, it's also about having a plan and sticking to it. Because I often have, like last year's diary is here. It's empty. That's last year's diary. I've got the diary. I just need to actually use it and then stick to what I've put in the diary. So this year's all about being planned, and I did fail, as I said, on the background. I did plan the backdrop. I just never actually executed the said plan. So this is this year's sort of a big personal focus. Decide on a thing and do it, rather than decide on a thing and then question, well, should I do it today or tomorrow or the next? I'm sure other people can relate, especially when you're trying to manage all of the balls and please all of the people. But for me, 2025, we're putting babies front and center. We're giving parents confidence. They have amazing power to their baby's development, and we're giving practitioners the tools and knowledge and understanding to know that they are probably the most important workforce in the world, because they're building the next generation of society. And we need to help them really feel empowered in that role. And we do that through the power of knowledge.
Sounds wonderful, Claire. And, you know, there is so much less in the parental education. Nobody teaches us to be parents. Yeah. And here we have this tiny human being that we are making sure is raised well, is we are doing the right things physically, mentally, on all other. So this is like one area which is yet not really being like nurtured or, you know, focused on. So you're taking care of that. And we wish you so much well, because if parents are happy today, that's where they have that mind capacity to, as you said about the tummy time. If the parent was like not in that frame of mind, would have never been able to even look into it. And about the diaries, I gave up having a diary long back. I just have this tiny notepad which goes on for years and years, and I keep scribbling. But yeah, if you have a diary and you're going to make use of diary, why not? If not, take one day at a time and go for it. And I'm sure you will, if not finish all your books, you will get more books in 2025 and be very proud of your.
Forgot about the reading. Yes.
And you'll be proud of collection. And sometimes I'm even okay to get a book, read it halfway, and just be happy that I have it. And yes, I will get to it at some point in time. So cheers to that, and wishing you all the very best for 2025. And with this, we go to Archana. Archana, please talk to us about 2025.
Thank you again. I think we are all birds of the same feather, the same thoughts being reflected by Miss Gina, Miss Claire, and Miss Helen too. I'm sure Miss Sukaina also will be of the same view of what has been discussed till now. Yes, teachers have their hands tied behind their backs. So although they know what they should be doing, they are practically helpless because of the pressure they get from the management. That's one thing. Another aspect is parents actually are sometimes clueless. We've been there, done that. So we also realize that, yes, children do not come with a manual, and we do not know how to handle them. And we have to take everything as time goes. So from an educator's perspective, thinking about 2025, happiness has taken on a profound and holistic meaning, deeply connected to lifelong learning, like I said, and personal development. It extends beyond material success or fleeting pleasures and is rooted in continuous growth, emotional resilience, and a sense of purpose. Happiness to me now emphasizes mental health and emotional balance with individuals, educational institutions, prioritizing mindfulness, because we see that the focus is totally on academics and not on either self-care or emotional well-being or healthy relationships. Now, as educators, we strive to nurture genuine connections and also community support. I feel that, although there are technological advancements and they are playing a very transformative role, the digital tools are enhancing personalized learning experiences, fostering global collaboration also. However, for me, true happiness in 2025 remains tied to authenticity, personal values, and also pursuit of passions that contribute to both individual and collective well-being. Now, finding the harmony between personal aspirations, meaningful relationships, and making a positive impact on the society through education. Creating a more compassionate and connected world is what I aim at in 2025. Although it might be just a drop, every drop makes the ocean. So I believe whatever little knowledge I have, share it with my educators, help parents understand that these are little human beings having a mind, having aspirations of their own. Do not rub your aspirations on them. Do not try to force your ambitions on them. Do not believe them to be an extension of who you are. That connection is cut with the umbilical cord, right? Treat them as individual entities, having a mind, having thoughts of their own, and give them that freedom. That is where the creativity is fostered, right? So throughout our education system, at least in India, the focus has been on rote memorization, and a structured syllabus is given where children are expected to memorize, pass with good grades. That is not going to help the children of this the current era. I think this is called the beta generation or something. I was just watching it on a reel somewhere. So these are called the betas. They're very sharp, they are very smart, and they come up with questions, they come up with explanations also, which will leave us with her jaws dropping as to, wow, this never occurred to me, right? But one incident where I was reading somewhere, a child was asked, that children were asked in the classroom as to, what would you like to become when you grow up? And all of them wrote down whatever their aspirations was. It was this one little child who wrote, I want to be the latest mobile phone. Everybody started laughing. And when the teacher asked, no, what do you mean you want to be a mobile phone? You're a human being, you can't be a mobile phone. The child simply said, both my parents love their mobiles more than me. If I were a mobile phone, they will take me closer. It broke my heart, right? So I think that emotional intelligence, and parents have to understand that providing material things to children is not enough. At this age, your children are looking at that emotional support and comfort. Your children will remember the small moments, the memories that you have spent with them, not the gadgets that you give them, right? So I hope that 2025 will be a year with more human connections rather than connected with being connected with the screen, right? So that is 2025 for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Archana, for sharing that. And yeah, we are all in for the human connection and more positive connection, drawing up the boundaries, making sure that we are surrounded by the positive and encouragers rather than the other way around. So thank you sharing for that insight. But last but not the least, Sukaina, over to you to wrap up for us and talk about your happiness goal for 2025.
You know what? I was thinking everybody talked about their goals and what happiness is for them, right? What if I ask you, what do you think happiness for me is in 2025? You listened to me, right? When I last spoke about it. I mean, the first introduction round. Now, if I ask every one of you, what do you think? Can you guess what would be the happiness for me, Sukaina Hussain Ebrahim, who's living in Pakistan, who has certain goals? What do you think? Yes? Helen, speak up.
Travel.
Yes,
I
I
think
want you
travel.
all to speak up.
To travel and to meet fellow educators
Aw,
and to share
it
your
means you listen to me. Yes.
We were all good listeners, Sukaina. And I think for you, it would also be having the true meaning of inclusivity where you see it in public places. I think that is going to bring more joy to you because that's where you're invested. And especially in a country like Pakistan, if you were to even make a difference in 10 people when they are going to a restaurant or a public place, that would really truly bring you happiness. And I think also what I gathered in small time is your children doing well and being respectful will also bring you happiness. I think this is a good spin-off, even though we are running out of time, but I'm sure each
You
one of
all
us
listen to
can.
me. This made me
Yeah.
happy that it was not we were killing our time. We all were listening to each other. It means we
Yeah,
are connected somehow. So thank you so much, Alan. Thanks a lot.
great.
That's it. That's a real happiness for me. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Sukaina. We couldn't have asked for a better wrap up. So until we meet next, thank you, each one of you. And we hope that this 2025 brings much more than what we have manifested. Wishing more power and luck to Dr. Wasabi and in all her endeavors that you come up. You have your spark going on, and it's rub off on all the people that work with you. So more power to ECDF for doing the great work that you're doing. Being consistent with the work that you're doing humbly is no joke. So thank you very much. And with this, I thank all my speakers. It is wonderful. The 1 hour was like we were glued to each other rather than anything else. And wish you all the best. And to all our audience, thank you for joining. If you're going to listen to us a little later, know that we had really good time catching up, talking about all of these things. And we are sending all the positive vibes to each other and wishing a lot of travel, happiness, and good people around. And I will end this evening or afternoon, whatever time you're watching, with loads of love, happiness to you and your family, and a lot of good health and success. So thank you very much. And this is a wrap from ECDF. This is Simi signing off, and see you next year in our 6th season of New Year, New Goals. Thank you very much. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.